Hi, welcome to Mathmaxtra. This is Saritha. Today our topic is rhombus. So what is a rhombus? Rhombus is a quadrilateral in which the opposite pair of opposite sides are parallel and adjacent sides are equal. Then we call this as a rhombus. So if you want to say it in terms of parallelogram, it is a parallelogram because every rhombus is a parallelogram, right? A parallelogram in which the adjacent sides are equal, then we call that as a rhombus. See, this is a rhombus. See what happened? And these two sides, opposite pair of sides are parallel, right? These two sides are parallel as well as these two sides also parallel. And what happens? The adjacent sides are equal. See, if you take AB and BC, these two are adjacent sides of a rhombus. So, these two are always equal. And what about BC and CD? Those two are also adjacent sides. Those two are equal. So, if you go on like this, all the sides of a rhombus are always equal. So, in a rhombus, all the sides are equal. And we'll see different properties of a rhombus. Every rhombus is a parallelogram. It holds all the properties of parallelogram, isn't it? And along with those properties, we have some other properties for rhombus. So, what are those? So the first property is, we know all the sides of a rhombus are equal, isn't it? And see, if you draw diagonal, if you draw diagonals of a rhombus, and these two are
Diagonals of a rhombus are always perpendicular bisectors. See, what is a bisector? Means this diagonal divide this diagonal into two equal parts, as well as this diagonal divide this diagonal into two equal parts, which is nothing but bisector of one each other. If no, these are always perpendicular. That is why the diagonals of a rhombus are always perpendicular bisectors. And you see, this is one diagonal. Okay, A, B, C, D is a rhombus, and this AC is a diagonal. This diagonal divide this rhombus into two isosceles triangles. See, as the all the sides of a rhombus are equal. Yes, and this triangle has two sides are equal, that is why it is an isosceles triangle. Similarly, this is also an isosceles triangle, isn't it? So the every diagonal of a rhombus divide that rhombus into two isosceles triangles. If you draw two diagonals, these two diagonals divide this rhombus into four triangles. Those four triangles are congruent triangles. See, and this side equal, isn't it? This side, this this part and this part is equal. This part is also equal. See, if you see all the, this is the intersection point of the diagonal, and this triangle AOD, triangle AOB, triangle BOC and triangle DOC, all are equal area triangles, as well as they are all congruent triangles. Okay, and we have a relation for diagonals of a rhombus and side of a rhombus. What is that relation? The sum of the squares of the diagonals, which is nothing but AC square plus BD square, which is always equal to 4 times of side square. Okay, so as all the sides are equal, so the sum of the squares of the diagonals, which is always equal to 4 times of the square of the side. Okay, we know every rhombus is a parallelogram, but every parallelogram need not be rhombus, because in the parallelogram, see, if you see in the rhombus, what happens? The diagonals must be perpendicular bisectors. That is not possible in the parallelogram sometimes. So that is why all the rhombus are always parallelograms, but the converse need not be true. Next property is, if you draw a diagonal, this diagonal is always a angular bisector. What is an angular bisector? A line which divides the angle into two equal parts. As this is a angular bisector, this angle is dividing into two equal parts, x degrees, x degrees. Similarly, this angle also divide into two equal parts, y degrees, y degrees. Similarly, these two are equal. Yes, and these two are also equal. So every diagonal is a angular bisector of the angles in a rhombus. Okay. And a quadrilateral is said to be rhombus if all the sides are equal, then it can be rhombus. If the diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other, then also by looking at this statement, you should identify that it is a rhombus. If the opposite sides are parallel and equal, diagonals are perpendicular bisectors, then also you should identify that it is a rhombus. Or if the opposite pair of angles are equal and diagonals are perpendicular to each other, perpendicular bisectors, then also it is a rhombus. So these are some different properties of a rhombus, and we will discuss the next topic in the coming session. Thank you.